you, Mr. Chairman. And General, I'd like to follow up on a comment made at the end of her questioning by Senator Shaheen and asking, in your professional military opinion, would it be in the interest of the United States to accede to the Law of the Sea Treaty?
Senator, yes, it would be. It gives us a better posture, a seat at the table, more credibility when we work many of the issues that we have to work around the globe with allies, partners, and potential competitors.
And that's particularly true in the Arctic, isn't it? That's where the Russians are staking claims as we speak.
Senator, I agree with your assessment. And as Russia takes over the Arctic Council in May, it's never been more crucial for us with our like-minded nations and allies and partners that we come to agreement to not allow Russia and China to exploit any seams and gaps.
Thank you. I'd like to turn for a moment to the immigration question and the crisis at the border, which everyone recognizes. Admiral Fowler, I think at the beginning of your testimony, you pointed out that there were significant, what I call push factors, as well as the change of administration, which is a pull factor, but the combination of the impact of COVID, the two major hurricanes, and the transnational gangs is making life intolerable for people in those Northern Triangle countries. Is that not also true?
Senator, I've met with folks who have walked all the way to the border and come back, and their drive was the violence, the fear for their life, their lack of food for their families, the insecurity. And in this past year, we've had that perfect storm of additional factors, COVID, and then back-to-back major hurricanes. The region is fragile. The conditions are on par with our Great Depression, and our engagement is critical to help our partner nations overcome this challenge.
It strikes me that whatever we do on border security, and I'm fully supportive of a secure border, as long as we have these three countries near our border that are in such terrible shape, people are going to continue to try to find ways to escape. I've heard the term, we need a Marshall Plan for that region in order to try to stabilize these countries in terms of their own internal security, their own economies. Does that ring any bells for you?
Senator, I think a Marshall Plan would be a wonderful model as we look at the entire hemisphere, really, and look at the sources of instability across the hemisphere. In addition to Central America, we see Haiti, Cuba, and Venezuela, all sources of illegal migration to the United States. In Venezuela alone, 5 million migrants now have swelled out of their borders. We need the big ideas. We need the sustained engagement of all of nations, and the whole of government of the United States, and the Department of Defense plays a role, particularly in that professionalism and institutional capacity building, so their security forces do the right thing and contribute to overall sustainable security.
You mentioned in your testimony the Russian and Chinese disinformation campaigns in these countries. Are they also encouraging migration as a way to undermine the U.S.? Do they see this as a weapon, just as they did with the Syrian migration into Europe several years ago?
The disinformation by Russia seeks to discredit every act of goodness, and we do many that the United States provides in the hemisphere. And to the extent that drives migration, there's no doubt. China seeks their own influence, their own economic dominance, and they seek clients while we seek friends and partners. I think their information campaign best exhibited by a recent visit to a country where I was asked about the illegal and unregulated, unreported fishing in the region, and I cited the example of Chinese involvement off of Ecuador, where their fleets would, for great periods of time, go silent and sweep into the ecological preserve. And then within minutes after my facts-based statement, which is based on the various credible sources, the Chinese proceeded to attack me and the media. That's just typical of their disinformation globally, Senator.
Well, I'm out of time, but I think your testimony that you, A, don't have adequate ISR resources, and B, there are not enough ships to interdict the drugs that are coming and killing Americans, including more than one a day in my home state, is very powerful. And that's a matter, that's within our control. That's a matter of allocation of resources. And I hope this committee can bring some pressure on the administration to allocate adequate resources for ISR and for interdiction, because we're not even interdicting the drug shipments we know about, let alone finding ones that additional ISR could provide. So that's something that I hope this committee can work on. Gentlemen, thank you both for your testimony. It's been very illuminating today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.